I want to take an economic angle with regards to this issue. So talk to us first about the economic plans of the Taiwan region's new leader, Lai Ching-te. What does he want to achieve, and what does it mean for the region's economy?
Right. Hello, Michael. Lai Ching-te calls himself a worker for Taiwan independence. And so his economic plan can be interpreted as that of a so-called Taiwan independence economist. Although that Mr. Lai has just come to power, his economic policies has already displayed framework, a complete framework. The first is that economic security has been elevated into a level, very high level of so-called national security, which means weaponizing Taiwan's economy and cross-strait trade and commerce. So this is actually the second most important part of Lai's core policy idea, which is called the four-pillar plan for peace. So its main content is to echo the U.S. and Western economic national security argument recently, claiming that Taiwan's economy is not going to follow the so-called same old path of being locked into the Chinese mainland, but rather to violate the economic laws, attempting to decouple Taiwan's economy from that of the Chinese mainland and reduce the dependence on the Chinese mainland. And at the same time, it has stepped up its efforts in cooperate with the U.S. and the West in escalating its blockade and its circle of economy and technology of the Chinese mainland. So, and second part of it is that Lai also claimed that Taiwan can become an economy which the sun never sets. That's a very astonishing argument. He would trying to force Taiwan factories and companies to invest overseas continuously and surrender their economic dominance to their Western rivals or competitors. And at the same time, also signing the new trade investment agreements to promote the so-called diversification of trade, so-called globalization of enterprises for the Taiwan companies. So basically, this actually accelerated colonization of Taiwan's economy by the West and in multiple dimensions such as investment and trade. So generally, it can be seen that Lai Ching-te under is the banner of so-called national security, so-called Taiwan security, is essentially trying to upgrade and deepen its so-called breakaway from China's mainland and emerge into the West road, so as to increase the economic basis for rejecting reunification and seeking independence. Of course, this is not a positive signal for the deformed and disordered economy of the island itself and for current cross-strait trade economy as well.
And Mr. Liu, you wrote about 5 critical industries that support the Taiwan region's economy, all of which have a technology focus, AI, for example, semiconductors, for example. So what will be the impact on these 5 industries should we see more frictions in cross-strait ties?
Yes, I believe so. We noticed that Lai is betting very heavily on the so-called 5 trusted industries, namely semiconductors, artificial intelligence, military industry, security, surveillance, and communications, and so on. So this means that Lai wants to link and integrate Taiwan's core industrial competitiveness and innovation potential into the supply chain reorganization of the U.S. and the West so-called democratic confrontation against authoritarianism, to participate and benefit from the supply chain diversification and resilience, that sort of process, and the so-called friendshoring, especially with Chinese mainland's exclusion in the high-tech sectors. So I think he's also trying to meet the urgent need of geopolitical conflicts of the West. So what we can predict is that Lai will further increase the technology and the talent blockade against the Chinese mainland by amending regulations and strengthening law enforcement and so on. It's also worth noting that all of the above industries are at the same time strategic military industries, which are highly compatible with the U.S. and the West recent intensification of their military deterrence layout in the Taiwan Strait against China's mainland, as well as their plans to arm Taiwan and to integrate with Taiwan's defense production. So this means that Lai, I think, is conducting a new round of war-ready economic mobilization and preparation in Taiwan, integrating Taiwan's economic and technological strength to serve some political aims, especially in the so-called extreme scenario in this process pursuing Taiwan independence